I thought I'd talk about how to find the best location on your property for a winter garden. Not everyone's property is ideally suited for a winter garden. Ours certainly isn't. But by optimizing 4 factors, you can improve the chances of your success. These factors are sun, slope, wind, and proximity. At a minimum, it's important to find a location for your garden that gets as much direct sun as possible. With the winter solstice approaching here in the northern hemisphere, now is a good time for us northerners to observe how the sun falls on our yards so we can determine the sunniest location for a winter garden. It's important to do it now and not in the summer, because the sunniest part of your yard in the summer may not be the sunniest in the winter. The changing angle of the sun in the sky could turn the sunniest summer location into the shadiest winter location. So here at noon, you can see why we chose to locate our winter garden in the back of the yard. Though this area is very shady in the summer, it is the only part of the yard that gets direct sun this time of year. The slope of the winter garden plays a much larger role than you might think. In this example, the garden has a north-facing slope. With the sun already low in the sky, the northern slope makes the situation even worse. The sun rays hit the garden even less directly, and the garden absorbs less heat as a result. A south-facing slope, on the other hand, has the opposite effect. The sun hits the ground more directly, and the ground absorbs more heat. This is a tremendous advantage. According to Eliot Coleman, along the 44th parallel, a garden on soil sloping 5 degrees to the south has the same solar climate as flatland 300 miles further south. 300 miles. That's a huge difference. So if there's a part of your yard that gets direct sun this time of year and has a slope that faces south, you're in luck. It's probably a good place for a winter garden. Unfortunately, not all of us have land with south-facing slopes. But even if your property has a northern slope like ours, you can still build garden beds that tilt toward the south. Currently, our winter beds are level, but given the tremendous advantage of a south-facing slope, I plan on modifying the beds next year to slope toward the south at least 5 degrees. In fact, over time I'm considering tilting most, if not all, of our garden beds toward the south. Given the north-facing slope of our yard and the limited sunshine our garden gets, the southern tilt could be a big advantage, especially in the spring when a little extra heat could get the growing season off to an earlier start. Cold winds can be even more damaging to plants than cold temperatures, and well-placed windbreaks can make a big difference. In our densely populated area, windbreaks are everywhere. Houses, fences, garages, and trees surround our garden. Locating a garden on the south side of a fence will protect the garden from cold north winds. Even better, if you have a stone fence, the fence will also absorb heat from the sun during the day and release it at night. Trees and shrubs on the north side of the garden also make great windbreaks. Of course, a garden on the south side of a house or other heated building will benefit not only from the windbreak, but also from the heat of the building. In addition, it doesn't hurt to have windbreaks all around the garden, as long as they don't cast unwanted shadows and shade the garden. This diagram shows all the location considerations discussed so far. The garden gets direct sun, it's on a south-facing slope, there's a stone fence that acts as a windbreak and absorbs heat, and there are trees that block cold wind from the north. If you have a location like this, you're in luck. This is a great location for a winter garden. A final practical consideration is the proximity of the garden to the house. Let's face it, tending to a garden when it's cold outside is challenging enough. The longer the walk to the garden, the less likely you'll make it out there to harvest greens or to close cold frames before a drop in temperature. So it's best to have the winter garden fairly close to the house. Many of us don't have an ideal location for a winter garden, but by taking sun, slope, wind, and proximity into consideration, you can find the best spot that you do have. And over time, you can improve your chances by building garden beds that tilt toward the south, or by strategically planting trees or shrubs to protect your winter garden from the wind. Well, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, remember, You can change the world 1 yard at a time.